In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. We are talking about, in fact, the maxims, and now we want to talk about flouting maxims. Now there are four, in fact, maxims. One by one, we are going to see what we mean by flouting any of these four maxims. Page 37 talks about flouting quantity. Okay, quantity. Now, the speaker who flouts the maxim of quantity seems to give too little or too much information. Okay, too little information or too much information. Look at here. Suppose your wife has gone and, in fact, bought a pair of shoes. Okay, and she comes to you. Well, she has gone to, in fact, the hairdressers, okay? Hairdressers. And you did something like this, okay? Well, the wife could come to say, well, how do I look with her new hair? But you say, your shoes are nice. What does it mean? The husband means something like this, that you must understand that I don't like the kind of shoes the kind of hair that you are wearing now. You are putting a kind of, in fact, a decoration on your hair, and I don't like it. Okay, so how do I look? We could say your shoes are nice. Okay, this is flouting quantity. Okay, now let us go to type 2, flouting quality. Line 1, page 37, flouting quality, line 1. The speaker flouting the maxim of quality may do it in several ways. Number 1, first they may quite simply say something that obviously does not represent what they think. Okay? They might represent something that they don't think that this is the way. So maybe it is lie, but it is not a kind of lie. You must understand that what is behind it. Okay? So the book says, we saw an incidence of this in Sir Morris's. I think you would be better, you would be happier in a larger or smaller college. Okay? It's an example of flouting quality, which flouts the maxim if he knows that the student would understand what he was getting at it. Okay? And the hearer measures behind his words. So all types of flouting are something like this: behind the words, implying, etc., etc. Well, flouting quality, flouting quality actually goes deep into the literature. On this page, 37, and on page 38, you see that there are examples of literature. Actually, literature is kind of flouting the maxim of quality, as you see on page 37 and on page 38. This is important. Okay? So, if there is something like literature, there's a kind of, in fact, flouting the maxims. Let us see. Speakers, this paragraph beginning with speakers on page 37. Speakers may flout the maxim of maxim by exaggerating, as in hyperbole. Exaggerating as in hyperbole. Hyperbole is a kind of, in fact, thing that they study in literature. Maybe you're familiar with it. Maybe, I don't know, we say something like إغراق, I suppose, in Arabic. I don't know. I actually know the Farsi word, but I don't know the Arabic word. Go and check the translation for hyperbole in your English to Arabic and Arabic to English dictionaries for hyperbole, which is a kind of, in fact, term in literature. So, I could eat a horse. I could eat a horse. What does it mean? You never eat a horse. What does it mean? It means you're so hungry. Or, look at here. B and C, K 6, Martin 1992. Look at here. Lynn says to Martin, yes, I'm starving too. What does it mean? Starving doesn't mean hungry. It means more than hungry. It means more than hungry. Starvation is something that the country actually, in fact, may, in the past, of course, observe. A country in the past may have something like starvation. Okay? So we say, I'm starving too. Okay? What does it mean? It is a hyperbole, like I could eat a horse. Okay? Or let us go to 2 lines below it. What? 2 lines below the conversation. What? You could eat a whole horse? Look at here. If it is understood word by word, without what is behind, well, somebody could say, what? You could eat a whole horse? Okay? I don't think you are dying of hunger. You say, I'm starving. Okay? Or you don't even look thin. You're so fat. Okay? Well, it's like this. Actually, the line below it, in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines to the bottom of page 37, we have hyperbole is often at the basis of humor. Okay? As you remember, you see what is out here. So in the text below, remember that as a teenager, you are at the last stage in your life when you will be happy to hear the phone is for you. Okay, suppose you are a teenager and there's something like this line. What does it mean? You are a teenager and I want to pay your attention to your actually life. This is behind what is there inside this little person. Okay? Little person. Or page 38. That's the metaphor. Okay? Metaphor and maybe majaz. Maybe they call it majaz in Arabic, I suppose. Majaz, metaphor. If I am right. Well, look at here. Line 5, page 38. My house is a refrigerator in January. What does it mean? Behind this understanding, behind what is there inside this line, you understand that there's a kind of implicature behind it. That the house, his house, her house is so cold during the winter. Okay? Or let us look at line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Love is a disease, but curable. Okay? Again, there's something like this. Or religion is the opium of the people. Well, these are examples of metaphor. Actually, when there is something like metaphor, it seems that is something is similar to something else. As the house is like a refrigerator. Love is like a kind of disease. Okay? Or religion is like the opium. Okay? So these are examples of metaphor. Similarly, we have euphemism. Okay? I don't know, in fact, the translation into Arabic, but in Farsi we use something like husn ta'bir. Husn ta'bir. The beauty of interpretation. Okay? Beautiful interpretation, maybe. Okay, and there's another word, but this is the word that you understand. Euphemism. What does it mean? Again, euphemism, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are still following, in fact, the literature, like metaphors, like, let's say, hyperbole, etc., etc. Now we want to talk about euphemism, again in terms of maxim of, in fact, quality. Okay. So when people say, I'm going to wash my hands, what does it mean? I'm going to wash my hands. What does it mean? It means I'm going to urinate. I'm going to urinate. Well, the word urinate, urination, is not beautiful. So we say, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to wash my hands. And when people say, she's got a bun in her oven. She's got a bun in her oven. What does it mean? A bun is in fact, piece of bread like this. Inside it, there's something like a hamburger, and you'll have it. As a piece of, in the hamburger, for the hamburger, you have a special kind of bread, and the bread is called a bun. Well, the bread looks like this, okay? And when they say there's a bun in her oven, okay? There's a bun, or something like this. She's got a bun in the oven. What does she mean? What does it mean? It means she's going to have a baby. She's pregnant. She's pregnant. She's going to have a baby. Okay? Or when they say he kicked the bucket. A bucket of water. Okay? There's something like a bucket of water. And you say, he or she kicked the bucket. It simply means died. It's an example of euphemism. What does it mean? So, things like expressions like she's pregnant is not so nice. In fact, urination is not so nice. Or this one, dying is not so nice. So instead of these words, we actually say something like he kicked the bucket for die, etc., etc. Or في ذمة الله, في ذمة الله. Okay, when we say في ذمة الله, actually we mean something like هو هي في ذمة الله. Okay, I think that I'm right with the way that you say it. Well, simply we want to be euphemistic, and we know that we are flouting the maximum of quality. Well, the next paragraph actually talks about irony and banter as again other types. Let me actually go and turn on the lights out there in order to continue with the discussion. Okay, this is my office and I'm actually turning the lights on because it's going to be dark now. Back to irony and banter. Well, the last two main ways of flouting the maxims of quality are irony and banter. Of course, they are quite related to each other. Okay? And they form a pair because they are related to each other. The line on page 38, line 1 of the second new paragraph. Okay? As Leach says, white irony is an apparently friendly way of being offensive. Let's call it mock politeness. The type of verbal behavior known as banter is an offensive way of being friendly, which is mock impoliteness. So it is ta'ana. I don't know whether you use the word ta'ana or something like this in Arabic, or tanz, and the opposite of tanz and ta'ana are banter. Anyway, I don't want to work with these types of things because I don't know Arabic well, but the point is that, again, these are other examples of flouting the maxims of conversation, okay? And finally, we have thus, in the case of irony, the speaker expresses a positive sentiment and implies a negative one. For the banter, the opposite. If a student comes down to the breakfast one morning and says, "If only you know how much I love being woken up at 4 a.m. by a fire alarm." Okay? It means I don't like to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning with a fire alarm. Okay? She's ironic and expecting her friends to know that she means the opposite. Okay? She doesn't like it. She says that she likes it, but she means that she doesn't like it. So this is an example of irony. Okay? She is being ironic and expecting her friends to know that she means the opposite. And finally we have sarcasm. Okay, again, I could use the word ta'na. I don't know whether I am right or not. Of course, the Arabic meaning of ta'na is quite different, but I wonder if I am right. Maybe you have to ask other good guys, in fact, about the equivalences of these words, especially Dr. Muqaddasi, actually helps you with these types of things, as sarcasm, etc., in the Arabic word, because he actually is a professor of Arabic literature. Anyway, sarcasm is a form of irony that is not so friendly. Okay? In fact, it is usually intended to hurt. Sarcasm.